Monday afternoon. We only have one child with us. All the rest have gone with their aunt and cousins to go have a fun day at the pool. We're expecting them back here before too long, but we've got a little work to do. We've got some produce that has come in and it's exciting. We've got the first fruits of our garden that have shown up. So Melinda and Lydia are gonna go and take care of picking that up and bringing it in. Melinda's got some fun things planned for that. And then I am gonna get to work with this sledgehammer putting in our T-bar post. It is time to get that fence up. We need to make sure that garden is nice and protected. So we've got a lot of work to do. Let's get started.
We're peeking through and we can see our squash. We're gonna go and pick ones that are ready. Take a look. I see several good looking, looks like we've got some crooked neck summer squash, yellow squash. I can't tell what else is in there. We're gonna get in the garden and see what we can find and see what's ready for us to pick. I have not actually been in the garden for several days, and when I just came in, I see tons of squash bug eggs. So that is not good. I'm gonna pick those off and see what else I can find, get rid of those guys so we can enjoy the squash that the plants are trying to produce. There are lots of little squash bug eggs on these leaves, so I'm gonna get those off real fast. Just these little red ones here. There's a few over here. They're usually on the underside of leaves, but it looks like they've just been laying on the top. Nope, just get them off, and then they won't hatch. There's a big bee hiding out on this one. I guess he's been enjoying those flowers. Let me get these squash bugs off. I'm gonna peek under the leaves and see which squash might be ready. I'm gonna give that one a little bit longer. We may get it in a day or two. Let me see what else. We've got different varieties here. You can tell some are smooth and some have all those bumps on them. I'm not sure exactly what they're officially called. We're gonna pick another one. This guy's ready. You just twist it off. That looks pretty good. Yay! We got a zucchini as well. Some of these other squash are not quite ready. Do you want to hold it? Let me see what else we've got. I'm gonna let the others go another day or two, I think. Well, this is pretty exciting. It's always good when something you think died is really growing in the garden. These are carrots. So these are carrot tops right here. This is carrots, this is a carrot. So I planted a lot more than 3 carrots, and I thought all of them had died. So it's pretty exciting to see that a few made it. I might give it a little bit longer, although this is looking pretty good for a carrot. But I'm gonna give them a touch longer before I pull them up, because once you pull them up, if it's not ready, you just call it a baby carrot and eat it anyway. All right, so just a little refresher why we're even doing this to begin with. It is a little bit of work. It's some prep work, it's some maintenance work, it's certainly some watering work, some mulch work, and now some harvesting work and getting the bugs off. Why are we even doing it? There's more than one reason. That's lots of good answers for that question. One reason is it's just cool. It's fun to grow something and then eat it. I mean, that's what everybody used to do. We don't do that as much now in the way that we live and the way that our culture is here. But it's pretty cool to do that, to say, hey, we just grew this and now we're eating it. The other thing is it's fun for the kids. It's fun for them to see how it flowers and then it turns into the vegetable and see about the pests and good bugs and bad bugs and what everything needs. It's really cool. Thirdly, it's nice to know this is insecticide free. There's no pesticides on these squash or zucchini. We grew it, it's organic. You can debate about the quality of the soil, the quality of the seed to begin with, but at a minimum basic level, we grew organic produce and it's kind of fun.
It is really cool to see all of the produce that is starting to come in. We were actually just looking at some of the corn, and that's really cool too, because we got a couple of different types of corn that are starting to show up. So really neat, and neat to know that that's coming along pretty soon, and we'll actually be able to pluck that right off as well. One thing I wanted to point out is that we have had our temporary fencing, we've actually had it up a lot longer than we intended for it. We've still had the temporary fencing up, and we've been opening this up in the evenings. And the reason we do that is because we want the chickens to come in and we want them to go and to try to eat a lot of the insects, a lot of the pests that might be around the plants. So just one of those permaculture principles of letting the problem become a solution. The solution in this case being something that the chickens get to eat that's good for them, that they enjoy, and then it also takes care of a little problem for us, which is all of the bugs. Now, it's not completely resolved. We still have some of the insects. You saw Melinda earlier picking some of the squash bug eggs off of the squash leaves, and we've also seen a few squash bugs in here, but in general, it's pretty good. Now, that brings me to my next thing, which is the temporary fencing. It's time for it to go. We are ready to start putting up our taller fencing, and we're actually widening the garden. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You can probably see out here behind me, I've got some string. This goes all the way around. I've staked this out, measured it, made sure that we've got a good square size. It's pretty close. And this is gonna be the new perimeter of our garden. So why are we making this bigger? Well, because we can. There is space out here for us to be able to do that. We've watched the sun patterns, we've watched everything about this, and we know what this area looks like. And we want to be able to bring in some additional space into the garden. But we're not doing all of that right away. As a matter of fact, in this space right here behind us, where there's still a lot of grass, we're actually going to put in planter boxes for the rest of this year. We were talking earlier today about what we need to do to get things ready for the fall garden. This is going to be where some of those things are going to go in, so we're going to put in some planter boxes. But for now, the number one thing we've got to do is we've got to get started, and that comes in the form of putting in some of our T-bar posts. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. We may not actually get the fencing up today. It's a little more involved than probably what I've got time to invest, but we'll be able to get this put in place right now. These are 8-foot tall posts. We want to put them so that they'll go about 1 foot in the ground, which will leave us obviously with 7 feet above the ground. And that's the height of the netting for the fencing that we're putting up. So we've got a lot of driving work to do to get this in here. Good thing there's a nice breeze. It's keeping me a little bit cooler.
Daddy, I was able to go off the slide.
I think I saw a picture. I've got my 4 corner posts in place. The next thing I'm going to do, this is actually going to be a temporary solution. I'm going to take 2 and I'm going to put them right here in the middle on this side. And the reason I'm just putting them in temporarily is long term, we actually want to drop a couple of posts in. We want to frame this up so that it'll be a nice entryway where we can also build a gate, and that's where we can come and go. But for today, just right now, I want to at least hold the space. That's why I'm going to put the next T-bar post in right here. I'm also going to put some as supports on the other 3 sides, just so that way as we stretch out the netting, it's got plenty of room to work. So I'm just taking a quick break from putting in the post, and I looked over and noticed the hens have come into the garden. As we said, we're okay with this because they really can't do any damage to any of the produce, any of the fruit that's coming out on any of the plants. Right now, they're digging in and around some of the tomato plants. They're eating a lot of the bugs that are down in there, things that we can't see, and that's an okay thing. Now, if we actually had tomatoes on the vine right now, I probably would not allow them in here. There's certain times where we've got to protect the plants and certain times where it's okay to let the chickens do their thing. But right now, this is one of those times where they can get in there and they can eat and scratch and do and dig whatever it is that they want. Well, I got all of these posts in and I feel pretty good about the placement. I've got one post that's shorter than the others because I ran out since I used 2 of those posts where we're going to put in a gate. And ultimately, I'll just move those, replace one of the short posts, and then I can use the other one as a spare to shore up something somewhere else. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good. I really like the progress that we made today. Super exciting to be able to pull in that first harvest from the garden. You know, guys, this just a few months ago, this was just a dream. This was a gamble. We didn't even know if we could do this or not. And as Melinda was saying, it's really cool to be able to look out of our house, see a garden, and know that there's fresh produce that's growing out here on the vine, totally organic, nothing harmful put on it, and we get to go in and chop that up, and we get to eat that as a family tonight. And that's what I'm getting ready to go do right now. It's pretty hot out here. I'm done. I'm wiped out. Swinging that sledgehammer is a lot of tough work. So good to go ahead and wrap it up for today. So thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, we'll see if we can get some of the fencing put up, and if so, we'll take you along for the ride. Thanks again for watching. If you're not yet a subscriber, use the subscribe button down below. We'd love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to check us out over on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. We've got all of those links in the show notes down in the bottom. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow.